In the quiet town of Ellensbrook, nestled between rolling hills and forgotten woods, lived a boy named Kent Whitlow. He was 12, bright-eyed, full of wonder, and absolutely fearless. Kent wasn't like the other kids. While most spent their afternoons on video games or chasing each other through suburban streets, Kent had a different obsession: the woods. Every chance he got, he slipped into the forest just beyond the rusted chain-link fence behind his home, armed only with a small backpack, a flashlight, and a weather journal he called the explorer's log. He would wander for hours, mapping trees, marking landmarks, sketching peculiar things: broken animal bones arranged in strange patterns, claw marks on tree trunks too high for any known creature. Kent loved mysteries, and he felt the forest wanted him to find them. But on a cold October afternoon, the forest gave him something it had kept hidden for years, maybe centuries. It started with the crows. They weren't flying like they normally did. Instead, they were gathered in a perfect circle around something on the ground, silent, unmoving, watching. Curiosity drove Kent forward. As he stepped closer, the birds parted, revealing what they had been guarding: a partially buried iron safe. Old, rusted, but strangely intact. It was etched with unfamiliar symbols that looked hand-carved, crude, and violent. Kent should have turned back. But he didn't. He dropped to his knees and began brushing the dirt away with his hands. The more he cleared, the more of the strange markings emerged. And then, the hum began. It was low, rhythmic, like a heartbeat, coming from inside the safe. He reached for the latch and it opened. No lock, no resistance, just the hiss of old air escaping. Inside was a book, bound in something that felt like leather, but looked off. Gray, dry, almost translucent, like it had once been alive. Beneath it, a smooth, black stone sat in a small groove, glowing faintly like embers in ash. Kent touched it, and everything changed. That night, Kent didn't come down for dinner. His parents thought he was asleep, but his room was empty. He returned just before midnight, mud-caked and silent, his journal clutched tightly to his chest. He said nothing. Over the next few days, Kent changed. At first, it was subtle. He stopped sketching animals and started drawing people, distorted versions of them. His parents, his teacher, a girl from his class. But their eyes were always blacked out, their mouths sewn shut. Sometimes they were burning. He stopped talking as much. He'd stare at walls for hours, whisper to himself in the dark. At night, the air in the house grew colder. Doors creaked without wind. Lights flickered. His mother said it was just faulty wiring. But Kent's dog Buster knew something was wrong. He used to sleep at the foot of Kent's bed. But now he wouldn't even enter the room. He'd whine and scratch at the door when Kent was inside, tail tucked, ears flat. Then one morning, Buster was gone. They found his collar at the edge of the woods. Nothing else. Kent's parents tried to intervene. Therapy, school counselor, even church. But nothing helped. He said he didn't need saving, that he'd already been chosen, that something old had spoken to him from the dark. That he understood now. No one knew what he meant. Until people began disappearing. First, a classmate. Then a local hiker. A delivery driver who never returned from a drop-off near the woods. Ellensbrook was terrified. The police issued curfews. Search parties scoured the forest. But there was no trace. Just strange markings on trees, and whispers. People started calling it the forest curse. But one person didn't believe it was the forest. He believed it was the boy. Detective Ray Mathers, a veteran officer with the Ellensbrook PD, had been tracking the disappearances. And all of them had one thread in common: proximity to Kent Whitlow. Ray asked for permission to question the boy. But Kent's parents refused. So Ray did what most wouldn't. He followed Kent into the woods. The next morning, Ray's patrol car was found empty near the trailhead. His radio was still on. His last transmission? A single word, barely audible through static. "Run." They found his badge 2 days later buried in the dirt beneath a twisted tree marked with the same symbols that had been etched into the iron safe. Kent didn't speak at all after that. Just stared out the window. Watching. Waiting. Until one night, he vanished. Left his clothes in a pile beside his bed. Window open. Footprints in the dirt. Leading back to the woods. He was never seen in town again. But the disappearances didn't stop. People still go missing in Ellensbrook. Campers. Explorers. Curious teenagers chasing ghost stories. Every few months, another one vanishes. And deep in the forest, where the trees grow too close and the sun barely reaches the ground, people say you can hear footsteps behind you, breathing in your ear. A presence just beyond the fog. Some call it a legend. Others say it's just a wild animal. But those who've seen it, what little of it they remember, say it looks like a man, once. Now twisted. Deformed. A body stretched too long. Eyes sunken black. And in its hand, it carries a small, weathered journal. The explorer's log. Kent Whitlow is gone. But something else walks in his place. Something that still remembers being a boy. And still loves to explore. But here's where things take a turn. Because in a nearby town, 30 miles east of Ellensbrook, a young girl just found the same symbol carved into a rock. Behind her school. And this time, it's humming. Years passed, but the legend of Kent Whitlow never faded. The forest remained eerily silent, as if mourning, or warning. Kent was never found, but sightings of a tall, disfigured figure lurking in the woods kept the fear alive. Some said it was no longer Kent but something else entirely, something ancient that had used him as a vessel. Then, one stormy night, a group of hikers vanished near the old trail. Their campsite was untouched, except for a single object left behind, the explorer's log. Its pages, once filled with a boy's curiosity, now brimmed with cryptic symbols and chilling illustrations. Authorities sealed the area, but the damage was done. The town of Ellensbrook slowly withered. Families moved away. The schools shut down. And the forest grew denser, darker, consuming the edges of civilization, one root at a time. Kent's story wasn't just a tale of transformation. It was a warning. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. And deep within the woods, where sunlight no longer dares to reach, the hum still echoes. Kent Whitlow never came back. Because he never left.